So this is my first foray into full ATS, Advanced Tobruk system. I've chosen Scottish Corridor, Lion Rampant. I chose it primarily for the simplicity of the terrain on the map. I meant to do Stone's Heights, but after looking at all of the terrain elevation uh, situations, challenges, at the last minute I thought, well, Scottish Corridor might be a bit of an easier step into the system. So this Scottish Corridor is a full ATS module game. It's not even module. This is a full ATS game, like Stone Heights. My version is actually a nice heavy box version. So it's Scottish Corridor, Lion Rampant. This is by Critical Hit. This is part of the ATS or Advanced Tobruk system. Starting at the very beginning, right? Scottish Corridor Lion Rampant is a detailed new ATS system game that tells the story of the Battle of Epsom. Some histories pass over this battle as merely the second of Montgomery's failed attempts to capture the key city of Caen. Interestingly, however, historians are recognizing the true meaning of the Epsom offensive. This was the battle that thwarted Hitler's plans to drive the invaders back into the sea. Hitler gathered the best of his remaining panzer divisions, hurling them against the three sides of the Scottish Corridor and breaking them against the resistance offered by untried but heroic British troops. The beginning of Epsom caught the Germans off balance and kept them off balance until Hitler's counteroffensive in Normandy was doomed. So, Panzerkampfwagen 5G, Cromwell tanks, Churchill tanks. Yep, nice sturdy box. So this is what I mean by the simplicity of the terrain in the play area that we have. So I've already chosen the first scenario. So we're basically playing this area right here, which basically is going to consist of roads, some fields, some woods, and the buildings of this village, Gavru. And that's basically it. I mean, you do have smaller, more detailed terrain, hedgerows, some stone walls. It looks like, and we'll get into those. These terrain details, little paths. It looks like footpaths and so forth. We'll definitely get into this all in more detail as we play through this. I guess look at we're going to look at this battlefield walk around for Scottish Corridor, but just to clarify some things up front, this is the version of the rules I'll be using. It labels itself as version 4.01. So I'm using 4.01 rules. We'll see how all this works out. So full rules. I'm not going to skip anything. I'm going to try to play with the full up rules, except that I've never been interested in any of the advanced to context sequence of play or anything that they label as. I'm trying to remember what they label it as, but the ATS-TT. I'm not gonna skipping all the ATS-TT references, but I believe, if I remember correctly, somewhere it says that it is designed. The ATS-TT rules are designed to be not used if you don't want to. It's not like it's not like that's going to break the system in any way. So we'll look at the battlefield in a minute. Here's the the scenario. It's called the Lost Platoon. The Lost Platoon. There's our background, Gavru, Normandy, 29 June 1944. That's the setting. B Company, or Bravo Company, of the Argylls bore the brunt of the first assault made by the 10th SS Hohenstaufen in Normandy. As waves of Panzer Grenadiers broke against the Argylls' position, B Company Piats drove off the accompanying tanks. By evening, the enemy had infiltrated the sunken road behind B Company, driving a wedge between it and the rest of the battalion. That might be the sunken road that they are referring to. Okay. The position of B Company's forward 11 platoon became difficult as it was engaged front and rear. Difficult but not impossible so long as ammunition held out. Captain Mackenzie, 2IC of B Company, was leading 11 platoon. Earlier in the afternoon, he used the platoon Piat to drive off 3 enemy tanks that were maneuvering along the hedges north of the Bougie Road. So this is, I see Bougie right here on the map down here. Bougie, I guess that's maybe the edge of it. I don't know. That's the only thing that shows up on the map. And there's the road that goes by the hex labeled Bougie, so maybe that's what they're referring to. By evening, he and his platoon had been given up for lost. But just before sunset, he led the 14 survivors of 11 platoon back into the battalion perimeter. He had only withdrawn from the fight when his 2-inch mortar, okay, here's there. On the order of battle, we've got a 2-inch mortar. Had taken a direct hit and the platoon had no rifle ammunition left. He brought out all but his most seriously wounded. Mackenzie's gallant stand won him a military cross. That's pretty cool. So that's the background of the scenario, the Lost Platoon. German order battle, I already have all the units set out. It's labeled Elements of the 10th Panzer Division, Frundsberg. Set up, enter as indicated. So on the German side, we only have squads, half squads, and 1 officer and 1 NCO. On the British side, we have, it's labeled as Elements of B Company, 2nd Battalion, the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders, set up on our adjacent hex. So on the British side, we have squads, half squad, 2, Alright, pulled out the wrong one. I gotta correct that. 2 NCOs, a Bren gun on bipod here, and a 2-inch mortar. I gotta correct that. Should be 2 NCOs. I pulled out an officer and an NCO. Alright, 4 turns. Turn track 4 turns, and we're using Scottish Corridor comes with 2 maps of irregular size. And we're just using a portion, basically 30, no, I'm sorry, it's not right. 2, 4, 6, 8, actually about 10 by 13, a 10 by 13 portion of the map, map 1. Victory conditions, the British must exit greater than or equal to 3 stacking points along the south edge on between hex rows A and M by game end. Okay. So it's a pass-through type victory condition. Scenario special rules. Spotting conditions are hazy. We will look at hazy. Obviously I've never used that before, but we will definitely look into what hazy means by spotting conditions. Spotting conditions are hazy. Make a pregame die roll for each building hex. On a die roll of less than or equal to 5, place a rubble marker in the hex. Okay, so I will have my rubble markers ready for that. All British personnel are marked with winded markers during setup. German units may only move during the movement segment of turn 1 if stacked with a non-broken leader. Okay. And then, yeah, map configuration. Okay, so that's the scenario. This again is the map. Going with it for a simpler map to get started with. So basically, from the only from the camera angle here, bottom of the map here, top of the map there, we're going from slightly higher terrain sloping very gradually down as we go to the top of the scenario play area. That's represented by these gray dot numbers, 1, 0, and -1. So it's gently sloping down. Again, we have the village of Tobruk. Let's take a look at the battlefield walk around. I'm going to go into some detail here to really establish some setting, get the set the mood, set the mood. So it's not. So this isn't. So this isn't all about just mechanics, I guess. That's what I'm thinking anyway. So battlefield walk around is just one sheet, front and back. Scottish Corridor version 1.1 locale. Yeah. Okay, locale. Scottish Corridor contains 2 maps representing the Norman countryside along and north of the Odon River. This area was the site of the Epsom Offensive during late June 1944. Montgomery's offensive to capture Caen would draw a massive response from the cream of Hitler's remaining SS Panzer forces in Normandy, including 12th Waffen SS Division Hitler Jugend. The offensive attacked on 3 sides of the Scottish Corridor, failed to capture Caen. It did represent a strategic success, drawing off and bleeding off Hitler's remaining armored fist. The Allied breakthrough would come soon enough, as would the German Rückmarsch, the precipitous retreat to the Zan that followed the collapse in Normandy. The maps used for Scottish Corridor represent about 3 kilometers of Normandy terrain, more than any tactical map in the blah blah. The 2 maps are, sorry, I'm not going for whatever marketing blurbs. The 2 maps are duly marked at 1 and 2. Okay. The 2 maps link and will be discussed as one stretch of terrain for the purposes of this walk around. Where there is a need to differentiate, the maps will be referred to as Scottish Corridor 1 and 2. Okay, we're obviously only using a small portion of one of the maps. Linking maps, okay. Okay, landforms. Most of the terrain on the Scottish Corridor maps is a flat level +10 landscape. Yes. I think we are on map. We're on map 1. Alright, so I'm going to skip references to map 2. That's a paragraph about Scottish Corridor 2, but we're on Scottish Corridor 1. So the north edge of Scottish Corridor 1 continues the ravine that exit. Okay. Okay. Yeah, the Odon River is -10 levels lower than the terrain it sits on, making it a -30 terrain technically, although its actual level won't make too much of a difference during play. Okay. On the south side of the Odon, the land begins to slope upward again until it reaches its highest level in the southeast corner. Oh, that must be this here. Hang on. Yeah, M40. M40. Yeah. Okay, so, alright, I got my bearings then. So, So this again is map 2. This is the Odon River, which is off the play area for our scenario. But the discussion is referring to heading south. Terrain slopes up, as I mentioned before, until it reaches the brown patches here, which are level 2. That's what they're referring to. So this is the southeast corner of the map. Okay. All right, we got that. Occasional hillocks dot the map, creating terrain that is +5 levels above the level it sits on. This is we're going to really get into this because not many games get to this level of detail. These hash marks here that you can see, brown hash marks that sit on a hex side but splash, quote unquote, into a hex. These are hillocks, and we're definitely going to pay close attention to the effects of these hillocks on gameplay. So that's what they're referring to. Occasional hillocks dot the map, creating terrain that is +5 levels above the level it sits on. Terrain forms. A full variety of Norman terrain is depicted on the Scottish Corridor maps. The 2 linked maps represent villages, farm fields and orchards, and small waterways dotting the terrain from north to south. Patch of swamp creates a quagmire along the eastern edge. Okay. A number of copses, many of them taking on military importance during the battle, present barriers to north-south movement. Well, we have one here that will play a role in our scenario, but here is another series of these copses. Look, so I'm looking at the full rules. Okay. Where was I? And the number 1 map we're playing on contains some fairly large patches of wood. Yes. We are on 1. The following terrain forms are found on map 1: woods, crops. Okay, crops. Yeah. So these I think I might have said fields before. Crops. These yellow patches, crops. Orchards, D39, D39. So these are orchards here. They look like orchards. They are orchards. Hillocks, we already talked about that. Paths, C37. Oh, okay, so these are they look like footpaths, and they are footpaths. So these brown, fairly fine squiggly lines are paths. Stream, river, and ravine. The ravine is off. Let's see if it is N15. Okay. I don't think we have a ravine on our play area for the scenario. RoadNet, the system of roads, bridges, and paths on the Scottish Corridor maps is intertwined with the myriad terrain features. Its north-south orientation is the key to the advance to Cannes. This is the road that runs down the center of the Scottish Corridor. Well, we definitely have this road that crosses the Odon at a bridge here, continues down here, and then it kind of forks these 2 directions. That's what we have on our map anyways, on the portion that we're playing. And is vital to British and Commonwealth lines of supply and maneuver. The Germans were desperate to cut it, and with it cut the attackers in the corridor off from friendly lines, destroying the British and Commonwealth attackers in Montgomery's offensive. The only paved road on the 2 maps runs from hex A2 to U2. U2. Okay. It's on the map, but not on our play area. All other roads are unpaved. Ignore the tonal shifts between light browns used for unpaved roads. On the two sheets, they all depict roads of the dirt variety. There are also a series of paths on both maps. These serve exactly two purposes. Personnel may move uphill at the cost of terrain. That is 0 plus cost of terrain instead of 1 plus cost of terrain. Paths that wind through woods also serve to allow personnel to move along them at the cost of the other terrain in the hex, paying 1 movement point unless moving uphill. So we have some of that. So that footpath. This path is going through the orchard and up the elevation change there. And over here we have this footpath that comes off of the unpaved road here, goes through the orchard, up the elevation change, up and further up and up again. So here it looks like we have the footpath breaks off and goes, I'm assuming this is a sunken path, and goes through the hedgerow there to link up with the road again. Alright. Okay, so sunken road, paths, railroad, embankment. On both maps, some of these terrain features wend their way through cuttings in the earth. Sunken. Okay, so I guess that is a sunken. So it is a sunken path there, and that does look like a sunken road. The Scottish Corridor 1 map. On the Scottish Corridor 1 map, there's an embankment across the patch of land between the Odon River bridges. Okay, I see it, but that's off our play area for this scenario. The most important thing to remember about sunken roads and paths is when moving along the road or path, the cost is usually 1 movement point, unless also moving uphill. Entering or exiting a sunken or embankment terrain feature is more costly and entails some risk for wheeled vehicles when not moving along a road. There are some sunken paths personnel may move along. Vehicles treat these as ravines. There's a sunken railway line on map sheet 2. Sunken paths, sunken road. Okay, terrain clarifications. Scottish Corridor 1 map sheet. Okay. Sunken roads and paths. What's the difference here? Where's the difference here? 231. E30. Oh. Oh, okay. Sunken roads and paths. The sunken road running along hexes E30, F29, G29, and H29 actually cuts into the level 0 hex in all of these hexes. Okay, so no. Wait, what does that mean? Cuts into the level 0 hex. So I guess that, because this is -1, it's faint, probably faint on the camera, but it's easy enough to see under natural light. So I guess that the sunken road here means that traveling along the road, you're still at -1 elevation, because you're going from -1 elevation through this, which is level 0 elevation, to -1 again. Okay, I guess that's what they're talking about. So I'm going to go follow the road for the personal unit pays employment points moves turn. Okay, let's use an example. A personnel unit. A personnel unit. Let's see if we can walk through this. A personnel unit pays the following movement points to make the above move, starting in D30. Okay, yeah, so D30 and ending in I30. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. walking through this level 0 terrain, surrounded by level -1 terrain or elevation. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equals 5 moon points. The sunken paths in. Oh, okay. Okay, so he's not moving uphill. If he follows the road, he's not traveling up in elevation. Okay. I guess that could be significant for observation and spotting, right? All right. Okay, let's see if any of these others apply. H18. Okay, that's off the map, off the scenario area. N3, okay, that's off the, okay, so it looks like this other stuff is not on the play area here. Okay, don't have vehicles in this scenario. Embankment, not in our, wait, is it in our, no, it's just off our play area. Bridges, there are 2 types of bridges. I don't think there are any bridges in our, I don't see any bridges in our play area. Vehicle bridges, footbridge, that is, let's see, that's off of our play area. Oh, okay. Let's see if we can, nah, I can't get to it. Okay. Buildings, numerous buildings make up a handful of small villages on the Scottish corridor maps. All buildings are single hex plus 10 level high structures with a ground level only, except the following. It says yellow dot. A number of yellow dot buildings are found on maps 2 and 1. K4. K4 is off our area. These buildings are plus 20 loss obstacles and contain an additional story. A hex location at level plus 10. Okay. I don't, we have the village of Gavaru here, and I don't see any yellow dot buildings. So I guess that doesn't apply to our scenario. Steeples. Oh, 035. Okay, so this is a steeple. There's a steeple location in the building in hex map 1 035. Thus, this building hex, but this is right off of our play area. Our boundary for the scenario is actually right here. So the cemetery and steeple is right off of our play area. But I thought I would show it anyways. Printed rubble, some buildings in the northern portion. Okay, we don't have printed rubble on our play area. Other man-made terrain, walls. Okay, yep. N34, N34. Okay, so N34. Okay, so walls are found along hex sides like N34, 35. Yeah, so these walls that, well, this wall surrounds the steeple, cemetery, and orchard. A gate is found in 035, 035, 036. Yeah, so there is printed a little opening in the wall, so that's a gate. A gate is found in right there, allowing entry to the church in 035 from 036 at the cost of 2 movement points. That is, there is not cost to cross the wall. Okay. To enter the church from hex N35 here will cost 3, 1 plus cost of terrain. 1 MP for crossing the wall, so climb over the wall, and 2 for entering the building. The only bocage hexes found on the maps are on map sheet 2. That doesn't influence us. Hedges. Hedges are found on both maps. Okay. Hex side roads are found on both map sheets. H31, H31. Oh, whoops, that's the other map. The graveyard, I already looked at a graveyard there. Terrain rules. Following rules are provided in addition to the terrain rules presented earlier in the rulebook and apply only to the Scottish Corridor map sheets. Hexside roads. Hexside roads are treated normally for all purposes. I'm not sure I see any hexside roads. Well, no, I'm sorry, we do have hexside roads that will play right here. Hexside road, so we'll look at those in the full rules when we get there. Water terrain. There's no significant water in our play area. Quarry and precipitous terrain. I don't think L20. Okay, so that's off our play area. Loss and movement examples. Let's see, the following examples clarify lines of sight on the number 1 map sheet. Let's see which ones. That's off our play area. Off our play area. Yeah. Off our play area. G29. G29. Oh, yeah, G29. So let's take a look at this. So there's G29. Back to the sunken road. Continuous lines of sight exist in sunken road hexes as follows. G29. Let's go here. G29 may see non-adjacent hexes F29, F29, F29. Yeah. E30, okay, E30 and D30 plus I30. It may not see E29. Yeah. Okay, so continuous line of sight exists along the sunken road, makes sense. It has loss to all other adjacent hexes. A unit in R35. R35. That's off our play area. A unit in T19. It's off our play area. A unit moving from M13. That's off our play area. A crew in the steeple. Even though the steeple's off our play area, let's take a look. So we're back to our steeple here. A crew in the steeple at level plus 10 of hex 035 has line of sight to 032. Okay. So 035 has observation 032. 1, 2, 3. 1 in the ground level does not. That makes sense. A crew in the steeple has line of sight to 032. 1 in the ground level does not. That makes sense. You wouldn't see through all this stuff to 032. Both have line of sight to 033, but only the ground level unit pays the 1 left or plus 1 HP and DRM for the graveyard. Okay, so ground level and plus 10 can see 033, but the unit on the ground level pays the penalty for firing through the graveyard. Both pay for the wall hex side. Ah, okay. So even the one at plus 10 pays for the wall hex side. The crew also has line of sight to 038. Yeah. So the crew in the steeple has line of sight to 038, which we are going up 1 level of elevation, and ignores the hedge on 036. Oops, 036, 37. So from the steeple over the hedge to 038. Since it's on a lower level, yes. It pays for the crops in 037 along the line of sight. If it fired at a unit in 040, so So let's say we have a British unit. As a matter of fact, let's go all the way and let's do this. Let's do this if it's not too much. Yeah, let's do this. Is it steeple or plus 10? I don't know. Okay, so plus 10. British unit. You know, buildings, okay. I'll change that out. All right, we'll make it a steeple, but it is plus 10. Plus 10 elevation. All right, steeple. Make this more thematic. Oops, not in the graveyard. Here's the steeple. British quad in the steeple. Okay. If it fired at a unit, grab a German squad in 040 up here. Again on the level 1 terrain beyond the crops there. It would pay for 3 crop hexes along its line of sight. 1, 2, 3. A unit on the ground level of 035 could see 037 higher level and could also ignore the lower level hedge along this line of sight. It cannot see units in 038, 39, or 40. The effect of the hedge along hex side 036, 37 is to affect movement from 036, 037, and vice versa. Okay. All right, switch. Your target unit in G32. G32. That's target unit in G32. Fired on from G34. There we go. G34. Okay, so a target unit in G32 fired on from G34 may use the hedge or wood's cover effect, but not both. Okay. No vehicles, no vehicles. The German squad, Panzerfaust, no need to concern Panzerfaust. Armored fighting vehicle, no. Okay. That's it from the battlefield walk around, keying in on what is in or near our play area, and what is what concerns personnel units, since we have no vehicles in this scenario. So that's a general introduction to my first step into the full ATS or Advanced Tobruk system.